Juno Mercer adjusted the gravitational anchor on his wrist for the third time, watching the holographic field stabilize around the Terran Embassy's central atrium. The device affectionately named Echo hummed against his skin. Adaptive fibers, merging with his nervous system in a way that still felt uncomfortably intimate after 5 years. Calibration complete, Juno announced to the ambassador. Stout woman whose permanent scowls seemed carved into her features. The reception area will maintain Earth-standard gravity regardless of Varisian fluctuations. Ambassador Holloway nodded curtly. Good, the delegation arrives in 1 hour. I don't need our first diplomatic contact with the Varesians ruined because some junior diplomat gets space sick from their absurd gravity wells. Juno bit back a correction. Varesian gravity wasn't absurd, it was brilliant. Their entire civilization existed in harmony with localized gravitational fields, allowing their crystalline architecture to defy conventional physics. It was why he'd accepted this assignment despite its reservations about returning to diplomatic work. Echo pulsed a warning against his skin. Incoming anomaly. Southwest quadrant. Unusual signature. Juno turned toward the embassy's main entrance, just as the massive doors parted. The Varisian delegation wasn't due for another hour, yet there she stood unmistakably Varisian, with skin that shimmered like polished opal, catching light and refracting it in gentle patterns. Her eyes, large and luminous, contained swirling galaxies of indigo and violet. She moved like flowing water, seemingly unaffected by the Earth-standard gravity that should have been uncomfortable for her species. Her long fingers traced patterns in the air as she spoke to the security personnel, who appeared thoroughly enchanted despite their training. Gravitational manipulation, Echo transmitted to Juno's neural implant. Hey, she's adjusting her personal field. Sophisticated technique. We have an early arrival, Juno murmured to Ambassador Holloway, who was already striding toward the entrance with practiced diplomatic poise. Welcome to the Terran Embassy, Holloway announced, her voice shifting into the carefully modulated tones of a career diplomat. We weren't expecting the delegation for another hour. The Varesian woman tilted her head slightly, a gesture that sent ripples of light cascading across her features. I am not the delegation. I am Taylor, personal envoy to High Resonator Velen. I come ahead to ensure preparations are suitable. Her voice carried musical undertones that Juno recognized as gravitational harmonics, the Varisian equivalent of emotional inflection. Right now, those harmonics suggested curiosity tinged with amusement. Of course, Holloway recovered smoothly. This is Juno Mercer, our gravity specialist. He's adjusted our facilities to ensure your delegation's comfort. Tyler's gaze shifted to Juno, and he felt a strange pressure in his chest, as if his heart had momentarily forgotten gravity's influence. Her eyes narrowed, focusing on Echo. You bend the foundations, she said, her words carrying an undercurrent of surprise. Few humans embrace the flow. Juno extended his hand by reflex, then hesitated unsure if the human greeting was appropriate. I've studied Varisian gravitational principles for years. Your people's understanding of spatial dynamics is unparalleled. Taylor looked at his outstretched hand with fascination. This is a greeting ritual? A handshake, Juno explained. An old human custom, palm to palm. She extended her hand with elegant precision, and when their fingers touched, Juno felt a subtle resonance pass between them, Echo responding to whatever technology she used to manipulate her personal gravitational field. Tyler's eyes widened. Slightly, your device. It sings to my resonator.
Oh.
She withdrew her hand with a small, surprised motion. Interesting. Humans typically rely on crude mechanical adjustments. Echo is more sophisticated, Juno said, feeling an unexpected pride. Semi-organic technology that works with my nervous system rather than against it. Echo, she repeated, the word carrying new harmonics. You name your technologies, this is ... endearing. Ambassador Holloway cleared her throat. Perhaps we should proceed with the inspection. I'm sure Envoy Taylor would like to confirm our arrangements before the main delegation arrives. Taylor nodded, but her gaze lingered on Juno. Yes, the gravity specialist will accompany me. His expertise will be valuable. As they walked through the embassy's grand hallways, Juno found himself hyper-aware of Tyler's presence beside him. The subtle fragrance that reminded him of starlight on water, the way she seemed to exist slightly out of phase with the world around her. "Your species has unusual customs," she observed as they entered the main conference chamber. The grasping of hands, the maintained eye contact. On Varisian, such direct connection is reserved for more intimate relations. Juno felt heat rise to his face. "I apologize if I overstepped." "No," Taylor said, and a smile transformed her features, light dancing across her skin in mesmerizing patterns. "It is refreshing. Most humans I've observed move through space as though disconnected from it. You seem aware of the currents?" She stepped closer, studying him with unabashed curiosity. "Why does your heart rate accelerate in my presence? Is this a physiological response to Varisian gravitational fields?" Echo helpfully displayed his elevated vitals in his peripheral vision. "The traitor. Something like that," Juno managed. He's trying to maintain professional composure while acutely aware that the most beautiful being he'd ever encountered was standing close enough that he could see the subtle constellation patterns shifting beneath her translucent skin outside the embassy windows. The crystalline spires of Varisian's capital city caught the light of twin-setting suns, casting prismatic shadows across the conference room. Tyla's expression softened as she gazed at her homeworld's architecture. "The delegation comes to discuss resource rights," she said quietly, harmonics shifting to something more somber. "Humans desire our crystalline matrices for your quantum computers. Our high resonator seeks peaceful exchange, but corporations rarely settle for fair trade when they can push for exploitation." Juno finished, familiar bitterness coloring his tone. Taylor turned to him with surprise. "You understand our concerns?" "More than you know," he replied, memories of his last diplomatic assignment, its catastrophic ending flashing through his mind. "Not all humans view the universe as something to be conquered and commodified." "Then, perhaps," Taylor said, reaching out to touch Echo with gentle fingers, sending cascades of resonance through Juno's nervous system, "there is hope for these negotiations after all." The diplomatic reception spiraled into chaos within minutes of the Varisian delegation's arrival. Juno watched in mounting horror as security alarms blared throughout the embassy, the holographic displays showing a Terran corporate alliance vessel entering Varisian orbit on unauthorized military presence that violated 17 different treaties. "This is a grave provocation," High Resonator Velen announced, his crystalline voice vibrating with controlled fury. Unlike Tyla's opalescent skin, the High Resonator's surface refracted light in sharp, jagged patterns that betrayed his emotional state. Ambassador Holloway's practiced diplomatic mask slipped for just a moment. "I assure you, this is not authorized by the Terran diplomatic corps. We had no knowledge, yet it happens precisely as negotiations begin," Bellin interrupted. Curious timing. Taylor moved to her leader's side, murmuring something in their native tongue language that sounded like wind through crystal forests. Her eyes met Juno's briefly, confusion and suspicion warring in their depths. The embassy's communication systems suddenly flickered, then died. Echo pulsed against Juno's wrist with urgent warnings. External signal interference, communication blackout, potential security breach. "We need to move everyone to the secure conference room," Juno said, stepping forward. "Now," Ambassador Holloway nodded sharply. "Agreed, High Resonator. Please follow us. We have protocols for such situations." The group moved swiftly through the embassy's corridors, tension thickening the air. Juno found himself at Tyla's side, Echo automatically adjusting to harmonize with her personal gravitational field. "Your corporation seeks to force our hand," she said quietly, her voice carrying gravitational undertones of distrust. "Not my corporation," Juno replied. "I work for the diplomatic corps, not the corporate alliance, yet they arrive as you prepare our reception." Before Juno could respond, a tremendous impact shook the embassy. The lights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness, broken only by the bioluminescent glow of Varisian skin. "Breach in Section 4. Echo reported through their neural connection. Embassy lockdown protocols engaged." Another impact, closer this time. Juno reacted instinctively. Grabbing Tyla's arm and pulling her into a side corridor as debris crashed down where they'd been standing. The rest of the delegation was cut off, dust and rubble filling the main hallway. "We're separated," Taylor said, luminescence pulsing with alarm. "The high resonator embassy security will protect them," Juno assured her, though uncertainty. Nodded him. "We need to get to the auxiliary control room. I can restore communications from there." They moved through darkened corridors, Echo providing navigational guidance through Juno's neural implant. Tyla's natural bioluminescence cast an ethereal glow around them, turning the crisis into something almost beautiful. "You're remarkably calm," she observed as they descended an emergency stairwell. "Not my first embassy evacuation," Juno replied. Grimly, memories of his last diplomatic assignment resurfacing. "Though the last one ended with 3 dead diplomats, and my career in shambles." The admission surprised even him. He rarely spoke of the Proxima incident. Something about Taylor made his usual defenses porous. She studied him with those universe-containing eyes. "You blame yourself for others' actions?" "I failed to see the danger until too late," he said simply. They reached the auxiliary control room to find it already occupied by 2 figures in corporate security uniforms. Juno pulled Taylor back just in time to avoid detection. "They've infiltrated the embassy," he whispered. "This isn't just a show of force, it's a coordinated attack." Tyler's luminescence dimmed to nearly nothing, adapting to their need for stealth. The negotiations were never meant to succeed, she realized. "This is a pretext for occupation? We need another way to restore communications," Juno said, thinking rapidly. "Echo can interface with the embassy systems, but I need direct access to a terminal." "The observatory," Taylor suggested. "It contains a secondary communications array for astronomical research." They made their way through service corridors, avoiding security patrols. In close quarters, Juno became acutely aware of Tyler's presence, the subtle scent, like crystallized starlight. The way her gravitational field seemed to reach for his when they moved close together. The observatory dome was mercifully empty. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed Verizian's crystalline cityscape, now shadowed by the looming Corporate Alliance vessel in low orbit. Juno moved to the communications terminal, connecting Echo to its interface. "I can send a message to Terran." "Command, alert them to what's happening. Will they intervene against their own corporations?" Taylor asked, skepticism evident in her harmonics. "The diplomatic corps and Corporate Alliance have been at odds for years," Juno explained, fingers flying over the holographic controls. "If I can reach the right people." The observatory door slid open. Both turned to see a corporate security officer, weapon raised. "Step away from the terminal," the officer ordered, in the split second before chaos erupted. Juno noticed Tyler's gravitational field shift dramatically. She moved with impossible speed, her hand extending toward the officer. The weapon crumpled, as though caught in an invisible vice. The officer staggered, caught in a localized gravity well that pinned him against the wall. He struggled futilely against forces he couldn't comprehend. "You're a resonator," Juno breathed, stunned by the display of gravitational manipulation. Tyler's luminescence pulsed with exertion. "Finish the transmission." Juno turned back to the terminal, working frantically while Taylor maintained her gravitational hold on the officer. Echo amplified his connection, pushing through the communication blackout. "Message sent," he announced moments later. "Help is coming if they believe us." Taylor released her gravitational grip, letting the unconscious officer slump to the floor. She turned to Juno, luminescence flickering with fatigue. "Few humans know that all Verizians possess resonance abilities," she said. "We keep this knowledge private for obvious reasons." "You trusted me with it," Juno observed. "Perhaps unwisely," she replied, but her harmonics suggested otherwise. Outside, explosions blossomed against the night sky as the corporate vessel began systematic strikes against Verizian defensive positions. The message won't bring help in time, Juno realized. They're accelerating their timeline. Taylor moved beside him, their reflections ghostly in the observatory glass. "Then we must find our own solution." Her hand found his, fingers intertwining naturally. Your echo and my resonance together might be capable of more than either alone. The contact sent harmonizing vibrations through Juno's nervous system, echo responding to Tyla's natural frequencies. In that moment of connection, something shifted. Between them, cultural differences, momentarily transcended by the simple language of touch. "Is this how your people always communicate?" Juno asked softly, aware of the warmth spreading from their joined hands. "No," Tayla said, luminescence. Pulsing in patterns he was beginning to recognize as emotion. This is something else entirely. Dawn broke over Varisian's crystalline horizon, casting prismatic rainbows through the observatory dome. Juno and Tayla had worked through the night, using their combined technologies to establish a secure communication channel with both Terran Command and the Varisian Defense Ministry. Corporate forces have occupied the main embassy building, Juno reported. Reviewing the tactical display, Echo projected above his wrist. Ambassador Holloway and the other diplomats are being held in the central conference room. "And the high resonator?" Tayla asked, her luminescence dimmed with concern. "Unknown. His biosignature isn't registering on embassy sensors?" Tyla's expression darkened, gravitational harmonics shifting to patterns Juno now recognized as distress. "If they've harmed him, we don't know anything yet," Juno cautioned. "The corporate forces are being careful. They're claiming this is a security operation following alleged Varisian aggression." "A transparent lie," Tayla said, pacing the observatory floor. "But effective in creating confusion," Juno pointed out. "It buys them time to establish control while officials debate jurisdiction." Their conversation was interrupted by Echo's alert. Incoming transmission. Encrypted Varisian frequency. The holographic display above Juno's wrist flickered, then resolved into the face of a Varisian woman whose resemblance to Tayla was unmistakable. Though her luminescence pulsed with cooler, bluer tones, Selene, Tayla breathed, relief evident in her voice. "You're alive," the woman said, her gravitational harmonics conveying complex emotions. "When communications failed, we feared the worst." "I'm safe," Tayla assured her. "This is Juno Mercer, Terran gravity specialist. He's helping me." Selene's gaze shifted to Juno, assessing him with eyes that seemed to see beyond physical appearance. "A human ally is... unexpected." "What's happening in the city?" Tayla asked. "Corporate forces have established a perimeter around the embassy district," Selene reported. "They're claiming a terrorist threat, but their true objective is obvious: the resonance crystals beneath the capital." Juno frowned. "The crystalline matrices you use for computing?" "Not just computing," Tayla explained. "Our entire civilization is built upon resonance technology. The crystals beneath the capital are the oldest and most powerful on the planet. Worth trillions to corporations developing quantum computing," Juno realized.
Ow.
"No wonder they're willing to risk diplomatic incidents." Selene's expression hardened. "We need you both at the resonance chamber. Our scientists believe we can counteract their technological advantages. But we require Echo's unique interfacing capabilities." Juno raised an eyebrow. "How do you know about Echo?" "We've been monitoring its development for years," Selene said matter-of-factly. "Few humans have embraced resonance technology so completely. The revelation should have disturbed him, but somehow it didn't." "Getting out of the embassy won't be easy," he said. "Instead, corporate forces have the building surrounded." Tyla's luminescence brightened with sudden inspiration. The gravitational conduits. The embassy was built atop an ancient resonance network. "Precisely," Solon confirmed. "Access point in the observatory maintenance shaft. Coordinates uploading." "To your resonator now." Tayla nodded, her skin pulsing with received information. "Will come immediately." The transmission ended, leaving them in momentary silence. "You trust her?" Juno asked. "Selene is my sister," Tayla replied. "And second resonator to the High Council. If anyone can organize resistance, it's her." They located the maintenance shaft behind an ornamental panel. Below, a tunnel of crystalline material pulsed with subtle inertia, Varisian gravitational conduit hidden beneath the Terran embassy. "Your people built this without the Terran government knowing?" Juno asked, impressed despite himself. Tyla's harmonics conveyed something like amusement. "We built it before humans arrived." Your embassy was constructed atop ruins of an ancient Varisian outpost. They descended into the tunnel, which immediately responded to Tyla's presence, illuminating with soft, pulsing light. The walls themselves seemed alive, vibrating with subtle energies that Echo detected and translated for Juno. "It's beautiful," he murmured, running his fingers along the responsive, crystalline surface. "It's alive in its way," Tayla explained as they walked. Resonance crystals form neural-like networks over centuries. This conduit has been growing 4 millennia. They traveled in comfortable silence for a time, the tunnel gradually widening and descending deeper beneath the city. Juno found himself studying Tyla's profile in the crystalline light, the elegant contours of her face, the way her luminescence pulsed in rhythm with her emotions. "You're staring?" she observed, without looking at him. Juno didn't deny it. "I've never met anyone like you. I should hope not. Varisians rarely leave our homeworld. That's not what I meant." Tayla paused, turning to face him fully. The conduit's light played across her features, enhancing her otherworldly beauty. "What did you mean, then?" The moment stretched between them, filled with possibilities. Juno found himself stepping closer, drawn by forces as inexorable as gravity itself. "In human culture," he said softly, "there's a way we express connection that goes beyond words." Tyla's luminescence pulsed with curiosity, the pressing of mouths you call kissing. "I've read about this custom. It seems unhygienic, despite everything." Juno laughed. "It's more than that. It's resonance between people. Show me," she challenged, her gravitational harmonics shifting to something new anticipation. "Perhaps." Juno hesitated only briefly before leaning forward, his lips meeting hers in a gentle kiss. For a moment, Tayla remained still, seemingly analyzing the sensation. Then her resonance field shifted, harmonizing with his own, and Echo responded by amplifying the connection between them. The kiss deepened, transcending the merely physical as their resonance fields intertwined. Juno felt as though he was falling into her gravity well, willingly surrendering to forces beyond his control. When they finally separated, Tyla's luminescence pulsed with bright, rapid patterns. "That was ... unexpected," she whispered. "Your resonance field, it changed." "So did yours," Juno replied, equally affected by what had passed between them. Before they could explore this new development further, the tunnel vibrated with sudden energy. Ahead, the crystalline walls pulsed with warning patterns. "Something's wrong," Tayla said, her professional demeanor returning instantly. "The conduit is reacting to external disturbance." They hurried forward, the tunnel eventually opening into a vast underground chamber filled with towering resonance crystals. Dozens of Varisians moved among the formations, their combined luminescence creating a spectacular light show against the crystal surfaces. Solen approached immediately, cool blue luminescence stark against the warmer tones around them. "You made it," she said, then noticed there's still harmonizing resonance fields. Her expression shifted subtly. "I see you've become ... acquainted." Shh. Tayla straightened, professional dignity reasserting itself. "What's happening above?" "Corporate forces have declared martial law in the embassy district," Solon reported. "They're claiming a Varisian terrorist cell targeted the embassy." "That's absurd," Juno protested. "But effective," Solon countered. "It gives them pretext to bring in more forces while diplomats debate the evidence." She led them deeper into the chamber, toward a central crystal formation that dwarfed the others. Its surface rippled with complex energy patterns that Echo immediately began analyzing and translating. "This is the prime resonator," Tayla explained to Juno. "The oldest and most powerful crystal on Varisian. Its network extends throughout the planet, and the corporate forces want to harvest it," Juno guessed. "Worse," Solon said grimly. "They want to weaponize it."
"Oh, resonance."
Technology controlled by corporations would reshape power structures throughout the galaxy. She gestured to a holographic display showing the corporate vessel in orbit. Their flagship carries a resonance disruptor technology stolen from Varisian research facilities. Once activated, it will sever our connection to the crystal network. "Leaving your people defenseless," Juno realized. And the crystal's ripe for harvesting, Taylor added bitterly. Juno studied the tactical display, an idea forming. Echo can interface with your prime resonator, he said slowly. If we amplify its natural frequencies, we might be able to create a counter-resonance field strong enough to disable their disruptor. Celine's expression remained skeptical. No human technology has successfully interfaced with the prime resonator. Echo isn't typical human technology, Juno countered. And I'm not suggesting Echo alone, I'm suggesting a true partnership. He turned to Taylor. The way our field's harmonized in the tunnel, if we can replicate that on a larger scale with the prime RESON. Ador, ... double quotes. Understanding dawned in Tyler's eyes. Exactly. Solon studied them both, her luminescence shifting through analytical patterns. It would require perfect resonance, harmony between you. The slightest dissonance would collapse the field. The implications hung in the air between them. Perfect. Harmony required perfect trust, a level of connection that transcended professional collaboration. We can do it, Taylor said, with quiet certainty. Her eyes meeting Juno's. As if in response to her confidence, the chamber trembled. Dust fell from ancient crystal formations as impact vibrations traveled through the city above. The prime resonator hummed with ancient power as Juno and Taylor positioned themselves within its crystalline embrace. Faceted surfaces caught and amplified their combined luminescence, creating cascading patterns of light throughout the massive chamber. The corporate flagship has deployed atmospheric fighters, Solène reported from a monitoring station. They're targeting defensive positions throughout the capital. Juno flexed his fingers, echo responsive against his skin. How does this work? Place your hands here, Taylor. Guided him to a crystalline formation that pulsed in response to their proximity. The prime resonator will read your intentions through echo, but you must maintain absolute focus. Around them, Verision technicians made final adjustments to crystal alignments, their movements precise and practiced. Solène coordinated their efforts, her cool efficiency masking obvious concern. Once we begin, she warned, the corporate forces will detect the energy surge. They'll direct everything they have against this chamber, and we'd better get it right the first time, Juno replied with forced lightness. He placed his palms against the crystal surface as instructed. Echo immediately responded, interfaces extending into the crystalline matrix like liquid mercury seeking conductive pathways. Taylor positioned her hands beside his, their fingers nearly touching. Now we synchronize, she said softly. Open your resonance field completely. Juno took a deep breath and released the careful control he normally maintained over Echo's systems. The gravitational field around him expanded, rippling outward to meet Tyler's own resonance. The sensation was unlike anything he'd experienced, like falling while flying, like drowning in air. Their fields intermingled, Echo amplifying the connection until boundaries between them blurred. Juno could feel Tyler's emotions flowing through him, determination tinged with fear.
Act.
Professional focus wrapped around personal connection, and beneath it all something deeper resonance that had nothing to do with technology, and everything to do with the inexplicable pull between them. The prime resonator responded, its massive crystalline structure vibrating at frequencies that harmonized with their combined field. Through Echo's neural connection, Juno could sense the vast crystalline network spreading throughout the planet. Countless nodes lighting up as the resonance cascade spread. It's working, Solène confirmed, her voice seemingly distant, though. She stood only meters away, resonance field expanding at exponential rates. In orbit, the corporate flagship detected the energy surge. Its resonance disruptor activated, sending counter-frequencies slicing through Verision's atmosphere like invisible blades. Juno felt the attack as discordant vibrations threatening to shatter the harmonious field he and Taylor had created. Lanced through his nervous system as Echo struggled to maintain the connection, targeting the resonance directly, he gasped. Tay's fingers intertwined with his, her luminescence pulsing with fierce determination. Focus on me, she commanded. Our connection is stronger than their disruption. Juno fixed his attention on the opalescent sheen of her skin, the universe-containing depths of her eyes. The way her gravitational field embraced his without reservation, In that moment of perfect attention, their resonance deepened beyond what either had thought possible. The prime resonator amplified their harmonized field, sending it outward in an expanding sphere that engulfed the city, then the continent, then the entire planet. Corporate fighters caught in the wave suddenly lost power, their resonance-based systems overwhelmed by frequencies they couldn't process in orbit. The flagship's disruptor overloaded, cascading failures spreading through its systems as the counter-resonance rebounded through its own network. "It's working," Salone exclaimed. Holographic displays showing corporate systems failing across the board. Their technologies are shutting down. But the victory came at a cost. Maintaining such a powerful field strained both Juno and Taylor to their limits. Echo warned of dangerous neural feedback loops forming in Juno's nervous system. While Tyla's luminescence flickered with exhaustion, "We need to disengage," Selene urged, monitoring their life signs with growing concern. "The strain is too great." "Not yet," Taylor insisted. "The corporate vessel is attempting to realign its systems." Juno felt her drawing even more deeply on their connection, pulling energy from reserves he hadn't known he possessed. The prime resonator responded, crystal facets glowing with increasing intensity until the chamber was bathed in blinding light. Above, the corporate flagship systems failed completely. Emergency protocols engaged, its engines powering up to retreat from Varisian orbit. "They're withdrawing," Selene announced. "Disengage now before you cause permanent damage to yourselves." With supreme effort, Juno began withdrawing from the deep connection. The process felt like tearing apart something precious, each step away from Tyla's resonance field leaving him colder, more isolated. When they finally separated fully, both collapsed to the crystal floor, exhausted beyond measure. Varisian medical technicians rushed forward, surrounding them with monitoring equipment and regenerative fields. "Fool," Selene scolded her sister, though her harmonics betrayed relief rather than anger. "You nearly burned out your resonance nodes completely." Taylor managed a weak smile. "Worth it." Juno tried to speak, but found his neural pathways too overloaded for coherent thought. Echo had entered emergency recovery mode, its usual vibrant presence reduced to basic life support functions. As consciousness began to fade, he felt Tyla's fingers seeking his. Their hands clasped weakly as darkness claimed them both. Juno awakened. In a Varisian healing chamber, crystal walls pulsing with gentle, restorative energies. Echo felt strange against his skin, present but somehow changed, its familiar patterns altered by what they'd experienced. "The integration was more complete than anticipated," came Selene's voice from nearby. She sat monitoring displays showing complex resonance patterns. "Your echo technology has partially merged with Varisian crystalline structures." Juno struggled to sit up, wincing at the lingering neural discomfort. "Is that permanent?" "Most likely," Selene confirmed. The prime resonator recognized Echo as compatible technology and established quantum entanglement pathways. "Fascinating. Really, no human device has ever achieved such integration." "Taylor," Juno asked urgently. "Is she recovering?" Selene assured him. Her resonance nodes suffered significant strain, but nothing permanent. "She's stronger than she appears." Relief washed through him. "And the corporate forces retreating to their boundary stations. The resonance feedback damaged their systems. Extensively, it will take months to repair. More importantly, we broadcast evidence of their unprovoked attack to every diplomatic channel in the sector. Even their corporate allies are distancing themselves." Selene's expression shifted too, something more calculating. "The high resonator wishes to speak with you when you're recovered. What you and my sister accomplished has political implications." Political implications. The ancient texts speak of resonance harmony between different species as a sign of cosmic alignment, Selene explained. Scientific detachment, failing to hide her personal discomfort with the concept. Some interpret this to mean those who achieve such harmony are destined to lead together. Juno blinked, processing this information. "You're saying because Taylor and I harmonized our resonance fields?" "Some will view it as fulfillment of prophecy," Selene confirmed. "Others will see political opportunity. Regardless, Your relationship with my sister has become a matter of state importance. Before Juno could respond to this alarming development, the healing chamber's door crystallized open. Taylor entered, her luminescence subdued but stable. She dismissed her sister with a private gravitational harmonic that Juno couldn't interpret. When they were alone, Taylor approached his bedside. Your echo saved countless lives today, she said softly, including mine. We did it together, Juno. Corrected. The harmony between us was remarkable, she acknowledged, luminescence pulsing with emotion. And now the subject of considerable discussion among my people, so I've heard, Juno said dryly. Apparently we're fulfilling ancient prophecies. Tyla's expression softened into a smile. My sister always did have a flair for dramatization. There's truth beneath her warnings. What happened between us, what's still happening between us is unprecedented. She gestured to Echo, where crystalline structures now intertwined. With its technological components, we are becoming something new together, something neither human nor Varisian, but a bridge between worlds. Is that what you want? Juno asked quietly. Tyla's luminescence pulsed with patterns he was beginning to recognize as fondness. What I want, she said, leaning closer, is to explore more of those human customs you introduced me to in the tunnel. Her meaning was unmistakable. Juno smiled, reaching for her hand. I think that can be arranged. Outside the healing chamber. The Varisian capital glittered in triumphant defiance of corporate ambition, while within two beings from different worlds discovered that the gravitational pull between hearts transcended all other forces in the universe. 3 weeks later, Juno stood before the Varisian High Council in the Crystal Amphitheater, Echo humming with nervous energy against his skin. The chamber's design amplified resonance patterns, creating a living tapestry of light and sound as council members communicated through subtle gravitational harmonics. High Resonator Velen, recovered from his ordeal during the corporate attack, occupied the central position. His crystalline staff pulsed with authority as he called the session to order. Juno Mercer of Earth, his voice resonated through the chamber. You stand before this council as both ally and anomaly. Your actions during the corporate incursion saved countless Varisian lives and preserved our independence. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathered dignitaries. Yet Velen continued. The manner in which you achieve this through unprecedented resonance, harmony with Second Envoy. Taylor raises questions about your future role among our people. Juno caught Tyla's eye, where she sat among the junior counselors. Her luminescence pulsed with reassurance, though her professional demeanor remained impeccable. The Terran Diplomatic Corps has recalled me, Juno informed the council. They believe my integration with Varisian technology constitutes a security concern. This announcement caused a stir among the council members. Selene, seated near her sister, leaned forward with obvious interest. And will you comply with this recall? Velen asked. It was the question Juno had been wrestling with since receiving the order. Echo, now partially crystalline and permanently entangled with Varisian resonance networks, would be immediately confiscated upon his return to Earth. Studied. Dismantled. Its secrets extracted for military application. No, Juno said, the decision crystallizing even as he spoke it. I respectfully decline the recall order. Relief washed through Tyla's gravitational field, though her expression remained neutral. Selene's luminescence, by contrast, pulsed. With calculation, you understand the implications, Velen said. Earth will consider this defection. I understand that what Echo has become represents something larger than corporate interests or diplomatic assignments, Juno replied. The harmony between human technology and Varisian resonance offers possibilities neither of our peoples could achieve alone. Velen nodded slowly, his ancient eyes studying Juno with penetrating intensity. There is wisdom in your words. The question remains, what place will you occupy among us? Solon rose from her seat, her cool luminescence commanding attention. If I may, High Resonator, the ancient texts speak of the harmonic convergence when different resonance patterns align to create something greater than their individual components. What Juno Mercer and my sister achieved with the Prime Resonator fulfills these criteria. Murmurs spread through the council chamber as members processed this declaration. "You suggest we invoke the Covenant of Convergence?" Velen asked, surprise evident in his harmonics. "I do," Solen confirmed. "It provides historical precedent for integrating non-Varisians into our resonance hierarchy." Juno glanced at Taylor, whose luminescence had brightened with unmistakable emotion. She had not mentioned this possibility during their private discussions of his future on Varisian. "The Covenant has not been invoked in 7 generations," one elder council member objected, "and never for a human. Yet its conditions are met," Solen countered. "The resonance harmony was witnessed by hundreds. The prime resonator itself has accepted his echo technology into its network. By our most sacred laws, the convergence cannot be denied." Velen's staff pulsed as he considered this argument. Finally, he turned to Juno. "The Covenant of Convergence would grant you rights and responsibilities equal to any Varisian resonator. It would also," he added with meaningful emphasis, "formalize your connection to Second Envoy Taylor as a resonance partnership." The implications were clear. This was as much marriage proposal as political appointment. "Before you answer," Velen continued, "know that such a partnership is considered unbreakable under our laws. Resonance harmony, once formally recognized, is a lifelong commitment." Juno felt the weight of this moment, the finality of the choice before him. Earth and his human identity in one direction, Varasian and a life with Taylor in the other. Echo pulsed against his skin, its crystalline components responding to Tyla's gravitational field even across the chamber. The connection between them had only deepened in the weeks following the crisis, transcending physical attraction to become something fundamental to his very existence. "I accept the covenant," Juno said, his voice steady despite the enormity of his decision. With full understanding of its conditions and commitments, Tyla's luminescence flared brilliantly, her professional composure momentarily abandoned as pure joy radiated through her gravitational field. Even Solen's cool demeanor warmed slightly at her sister's happiness. "Then it shall be so," Velen declared, striking his staff against the crystal floor. The sound reverberated through the chamber, amplified by resonance into a cascading chime that seemed to permeate reality itself. "The ceremony will be conducted at the next alignment of our twin suns," Velen announced. "Till then, Juno Mercer will begin training in the responsibilities of his new position." As the council session concluded, Taylor approached Juno there, resonance fields automatically harmonizing upon proximity. Around them, council members dispersed in swirls of luminescent color, many casting curious glances at the human who had defied his own people to join theirs. "You didn't tell me about the covenant," Juno said quietly when they were relatively private. "I didn't want to influence your decision," Taylor replied. "The choice had to be yours alone." "Was it Solen's idea?" he asked, surprised by the older sister's apparent support. Tyla's luminescence pulsed with amusement. "Solen recognizes political advantage when she sees it. Your presence strengthens our position against future corporate encroachment. So I'm a strategic asset?" "Among other things," Taylor said, her gravitational harmonics shifting to the intimate frequency they now shared only with each other. Solen approached, interrupting the moment with practiced timing. "The Terran ambassador requests an urgent meeting," she informed them. "Apparently your decision has caused quite a stir in diplomatic circles." "I imagine so," Juno acknowledged. The first human to officially integrate with Varisian society would create precedents no one had prepared for. "We should meet with her together," Taylor suggested, "present a unified response." As they made their way through the crystalline corridors of the council chamber, Juno reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From disgraced diplomatic attached to reluctant gravity specialist to something entirely new, a bridge between worlds that had previously regarded each other with suspicion and limited understanding. Outside, Varasian's twin suns cast their light through the city's crystal spires, creating prismatic rainbows that danced across buildings and walkways. In the distance, the damaged corporate flagship had been replaced by Terran diplomatic vessels, the first steps toward negotiated agreements rather than attempted conquest. Ambassador Holloway awaited them in a reception chamber, her expression caught between diplomatic neutrality and personal disapproval. "Mr. Mercer," she said stiffly, The Secretary General is most displeased with your decision. Imagine she would be, Juno replied calmly. You understand this constitutes abandonment of your posts and violation of your security clearance. Holloway continued. Not to mention the proprietary technology you've effectively surrendered to a foreign power? Echo pulsed against his skin. Its partially crystalline structure now visible through his sleeve. No longer wholly Terran technology, but something new. Echo isn't what it was, Juno explained. What happened during the resonance convergence? Changed us both. Attempting to separate us now would destroy the very innovations Earth hopes to study. Taylor stepped forward, her formal diplomatic training.